Welcome to the closing session of the Bay of Bengal Economic Dialogue 2021. Over the last 3.5 days, we actually had so many sessions and so much interactions amongst us, among the participants. And we are having this very brief closing session to kind of summarize the discussion of what we had. I know it's extremely difficult to summarize what we discussed, but it's a kind of the session where we will try to re-emphasize the point that the regional cooperation, regional integration in the Bay of Bengal region, its importance, and the way forward, and the kind of challenges during the post-COVID, for post-COVID recovery. These countries should unite and they should work together. With me, I'm glad to have Mr. Achyut Bhandari, co-founder, Center for Research on Bhutanese Society, Bhutan; Dr. Prabir De, Professor, ASEAN India Center, AIC RIS, which is Research and Information System for Developing Countries, New Delhi; Dr. Pushpa Sharma, Executive Director, South Asia Watch on Trade, Economics and Environment, Southie, Nepal; and of course, Ambassador Sumit Nakandala, who is a Distinguished Fellow, Pathfinder Foundation, and former Secretary General of BIMSTEC; and Dr. Surat Horachaikul, Director, Indian Studies Center, Chulalongkorn University, Thailand. What I'll do, I'll get back to the panelists for their comments, and also we'll have a session to get the comments from the participants as well and their feedback on this whole conference. And at the same time, we would like to hear from the participants and the panelists about the way forward too, how we can actually take this cooperation forward. At this moment, we have this cooperation among a few think tanks in this region, but we also heard in other sessions that there are interested participants at the institutional level as well as the individual level who would like to actually participate and who would like to be part of this whole process. And we very much welcome their initiative. So what I'll do at the beginning, I will read out a very very tentative summary of this dialogue, and it's actually, I would not say a summary because probably we have missed out many of the issues which have been discussed, but this is something what we would actually put on the table, and we can make it developed, and we can make it better by getting your feedback and comments. But we thought that a draft like this can be very useful to put on the table. So let me read out. In furtherance of the declaration of the 4th BIMSTEC Summit 2018, and in recognition of the emergence of the Bay of Bengal community, the think tanks, civil society organizations, and universities in Bay of Bengal region have collaborated to organize the first international conference of the Bay of Bengal Economic Dialogue, what we call the Bay of Bengal Economic Dialogue 2021, on 8 to 11 February 2021 through virtual mode. Sanem from Bangladesh, in partnership with CRBS, AIC at RIS, Southie, Pathfinder, ISC of Chula University organized this dialogue. The theme of the conference is post-COVID-19 challenges in the Bay of Bengal region. The prime objective of the dialogue is to deal with the emerging challenges, particularly in the view of COVID-19, and generate pragmatic policies to support the regional cooperation and integration in the Bay of Bengal region. The dialogue has aimed to add substance to our efforts towards achieving the vision of our leaders to progress the Bay of Bengal community. It held a total 16 sessions and over 80 speakers who participated, including the Honorable Foreign Minister of Bangladesh, His Excellency Dr. A.K. Abdul Momen, MP, and His Excellency Mr. Tenzin Lekfel, Secretary General of BIMSTEC. Professor Rehman Sovan extended the keynote address. The first Secretary General of BIMSTEC, Ambassador Sumit Nakandala, took part in the dialogue. Besides, over 500 people have attended the dialogue through virtual mode. The dialogue has received due attention from uh, academia, government, industry, and media. The fourth BIMSTEC summit called for greater collaboration among academic research institutes to promote people to people contacts, and the joint declaration said, quote, agree to explore the possibility of establishing appropriate BIMSTEC forums for parliamentarians, universities, academia, research institutes, culture organizations, and media community to expand the scope of people to people contacts, unquote. The first Bay of Bengal Economic Dialogue is organized in response to the call of our leaders. Bay of Bengal countries enjoy shared history and civilizations links. Countries are natural partner in development and relations go back in history. Today, the Bay of Bengal region has been hit hard by the COVID pandemic. Growth of the countries in the region has declined, and some of the countries are in recession. Assuming that the outbreak remains under control and activity recovers later this year, Bay of Bengal economics are likely to come back to growth in 2021. However, with advanced economies contracting and spread of virus and other disasters continuing, a comfortable economic rebound is likely to be uncertain. The declarations of this dialogue have shown increasing awareness of the opportunities offered through stronger regional cooperation in the Bay of Bengal region. The region has, however, made progress in several other areas, such as physical and people to people connectivity. However, it has been facing several challenges that cover a number of areas and which call for concerted efforts by the member countries. The responses to the COVID pandemic suggest a greater scope of regional cooperation among the countries in the Bay of Bengal region. Bay of Bengal's trade diligences have to be built upon the structure and density of economic relationship between alliance partner countries. With the rise of the uncertainties, the COVID pandemic has disrupted normal economic activity and life in the Bay of Bengal region. A comprehensive strategy addressing the impact of current crisis may put the Bay of Bengal countries back on the sustained growth path and rebound the region's trade and growth. Deliberations in the Bay of Bengal Economic Dialogue have shown us the path of designing a regional comprehensive strategy to rebuild the region in the post-COVID-19 period. The expected benefits will emerge from more trade and investment backed by transport connectivity in the region, leading to more employment generation for our people. It is now important to make all entities of BIMSTEC process fully functional and also operational. We need to facilitate implementation of BIMSTEC free trade area, and connectivity related programs need to be finalized soon. The sectoral cooperation in the fields of agriculture, energy, public health, technology, and ICT, etc., needs to be bolstered. Along with traditional security, more focus should be given on emerging non-traditional security threats like pandemic. The possibilities of BIMSTEC cooperation in the fields of public health like pandemic response, increased disaster surveillance, improve public health intervention, and of course food security, disaster management, and poverty alleviation in the post-COVID-19 period. In the way of knowledge and expertise sharing, technology transfer, tourism cooperation, etc. should be exploited. Bay of Bengal countries have taken several important measures to cope up with the COVID-19-led economic crisis. Speakers identified immense scope of regional cooperation in disease surveillance and public health management. Bay of Bengal countries may consider setting up a senior officers level interaction for public health development mechanism responding to the COVID-19. New researches have to be encouraged on food security and nutrition, public health, disaster management, digital technology, etc. Out-of-box ideas in these areas will save millions from poverty and hunger. Countries should encourage collaborative research work in public health as long-term redress measures. Bay of Bengal countries have a relatively higher young population, clusters of talented professionals well connected to international markets, great bio and cultural diversity. There are now huge opportunities with the emergence of e-commerce and other services, but the region requires telemedicine to strengthen healthcare. Bay of Bengal countries need to undertake short and medium-term measures responding to the current economic crisis, and it should also put us on a new sustained growth path. Thailand sees the way forward not only in BIMSTEC but also in ASEAN and APEC through utilizing the biocircular green or BCG economic model. Thailand has identified four areas of collective comparative advantage where BCG economic model could be applied, namely food and agriculture, materials and energy, health and medicine, and tourism. Simultaneously, science and digital technology are cross-cutting tools to be applied to these sectors to reach a higher level of productivity with new product champions. Thailand is taking over as BIMSTEC chairmanship in the post-COVID-19 era. Thailand sincerely believes that the biocircular and green economy or BCG economy model could provide smart, multifaceted solutions to community efforts, not only to rebuild our livelihoods in the post-COVID, but to build back smarter. Bay of Bengal countries have called for completion of the negotiation of BIMSTEC FTA in order to realize the economic potential of our regional market and investment destination of more than 1.5 billion people. Since BIMSTEC transport connectivity master plan is now ready, countries need to work to translate the BIMSTEC master plan on transport connectivity into greater connections on both land and sea. As tourism and business travel is important for all BIMSTEC member countries, these countries must cooperate for post-COVID-19 revival with sustainability as the focus. Some of the short-run solutions could be public health care, food and medicine, and economic incentives to the people as domestic measures. In a medium-term approach, Bay of Bengal countries should provide vaccination as public health security measure and pursuing other economic measures. It is the long-term economic fallout of the COVID-19 that requires long-term collective redress from the government, industries, academic, and civil society-based think tanks at domestic, regional, and global levels. Finally, there will be an edited volume and a Bay of Bengal journal to be published by SANEM and partner organizations. A detailed summary will also be shared with the participants and stakeholders very soon. The next venue and year of the dialogue will be intimated after a mutual consultation in due course of time. With this, I'd like to now request Mr. Achyut Bhandari to share his views in this very final closing session. Mr. Achyut Bhandari, over to you.
Dr. Raihan, thank you very much for your giving me the floor. First of all, I must extend my deep appreciation for your leadership once again for taking the initiative to hold this consultation, which from my point of view has been extremely enriching. I also want to thank Dr. Prabir Dey and all the other heads of the institutions that they have, who have collaborated in this effort. CRBS is a very young organization, and we thank you for taking us on board because it helps us to to interact and know other academicians and other esteemed intellectuals who have made an immense contribution to this dialogue. It was not only timely, I think more than that, I think it shows that while the process of cooperation at the governmental level may take its own course, that we in the whatever you call it, a research community or a NGO community, So in other words, outside the government are very much interested for this cooperation to move ahead. And unfortunately, being a former civil servant and have worked very closely with regional organizations, I cannot but express my disappointment to some extent that almost after almost 25 years of existence, Beamsteak is still not well known, and this afternoon's discussion was quite clear that maybe even the name itself is something that we need to look at it. The governmental process is extremely lengthy, and the fact that the leaders have not met for some time, and let alone the other meetings which keep on postponing for lack of this or lack of that, lack of quorum and all that. So in that process, we take to seem too much of time to achieve a goal. For instance, even the study on transport, which has been lying for the last 2 years, it has not been approved, for lack of a meeting and comments received from member countries. So in the backdrop of that, I would like to raise this issue, and I think here the former Secretary General, who is very much part of this, would be able to guide us. In as much as the statement that you and Prabir and others perhaps had come out, just now you read, is quite okay with me. Shouldn't it be a little more sharper, in the sense that we tell, from our point of view, we very clearly say, that these are the things you need to prioritize. I know it's been, you mentioned it's in the short run, long run, and medium term. But if you look at the discussion has been on post-COVID situation, which is really the theme, but also on the process of BIMSTEP cooperation. So the point we need to decide is: are we only going to focus on the very close or urgent needs that emerge out of COVID-19, on which it will be health, maybe it will be food security, it will be tourism, and few others maybe, or are you going to also have some expression of views on the wide range of issues that BIMSTEC encompass? And my view has been, and I think I have said this before, we seem to take a number of areas of cooperation. In other words, there are multiple number of areas of cooperation, and these areas do not get adequate focus from the government in terms of moving them forward. So what is the option? Should we really narrow down the number of areas of cooperation? And I think the official process has done it. If I look at the recent report, there are 14 areas. Now they say 7, but still there are 14 areas if you take into account of the subsectors. So where is the change in the official process? So what guarantee does that give that BIMSTEC in the next 5 to 10 years is going to make a much bigger progress than what we have seen in the past? Ironically, BIMSTEC was created because SAARC did not move forward, and now I think we are just repeating the SAARC experience in many ways, in my view. And unless we are able to think out of the box and do something, I think in another 10 years, we'll be talking about the same thing. Maybe I may be a little pessimistic, but I have worked in in the BIMSTEC process. I have worked in the SAARC process, and the situation is very similar. So from this meeting, I think a clear message should go out from this 3-4 days of work, that we must move fast, and these are the areas for BIMSTEC to prioritize in the near future and the medium and the long term, and maybe even say something about the number of areas of cooperation. And there are also the regional institutions are being multiplied. What is the critical role that the regional institutions have been paying, in the member countries? What contribution have they made in the process? I think we need to evaluate before we really try to take too many things. This is my view, in as much as it is my personal view, but it is based on my long experience with SARC and BIMSTEC. And now I'm sort of wearing a different hat as an NGO, as a research institution. And I think people like us have to show to the BIMSTEC that this is the way that you should go. Otherwise, we're not going to see much change, much difference in the near future. So when I saw that the revised list of areas of cooperation, I mean, I was I was not happy, because the 14 areas remains. You just call it by a different name. Of course, I do realize that each country has its own priorities, all right? But we have to come to a common consensus. Okay, only in next 10 years, we can only do this much. These are the priorities. And this is where we need to work. Priorities just now, nobody expected this COVID to come. And obviously, I think this COVID and other related areas of health that may come up will naturally, I hope, will be the priority. And the session that we had on health was extremely emulating, I found, And if GSM countries have been able to prevent COVID, to zero level, why have not we been able to do it? Why are we always been guided by this national hat? Although we know that, in today's world, you have to interact with everybody. So I think this is something that I want to say. So I think these are my broad points. And in terms of the statement, just to come back, we need not. You have read it out, and I think in principle nobody will say no to it. But maybe rather than just issuing just now, maybe I think we can reflect a little bit more, and maybe next week or so we can further improve it and bring it and circulate among the several institutions and issue it and submit it to our governments, to the secretariat. This is our view, and we want you to seriously consider issues in our meeting next time, I think, in Sri Lanka. This is all I have to say. Whether it's good or bad, I'm very, by nature, I'm a very frank person, and I express my views as forcefully as I can, and I would like to consider these from other colleagues, and especially from Ambassador from Sri Lanka, who was the previous Secretary General. I would like to hear his views about the BIMSTEC process. He did say that it had marched a little faster, but if I look at the record, I mean, okay, Secretariat is there. So what has Secretariat done? Apart from preparing reports and papers, what is tangible? What has tangible been delivered down to the people? When in such a time that we have not been able to come together. So I think we need to be more realistic, because today money is scarce. For smaller countries, is it a burden? Are you getting benefit of this organization? So I think these are the questions one need to answer. And having said that, thank you for this opportunity, and I look forward to your guidance in our research organization as we move ahead, and we look forward to collaborating with every one of you in the near future. Thank you, Dr. Ryan. Maybe, sorry, I spoke a little longer, but I had to make my views.
Thank you, Mr. Bhandari. Actually, the point you raised is very much well taken, and it's not the thing what we are observing now for the BIMSTEC, but we observed it in the SARC process too.
Right.
But despite that, the civil society think tanks academics and other the people like us, actually, we have been working in this area, and there is a need to actually work in this area, and the necessity will continue in the future too. Because to generate the knowledge, to put the pressure on our respecting government to collaborate, to cooperate, I think this will continue, despite the fact that there are probably strong political economy issues for not to cooperate. And that will require a lot of research into that areas too. The point you raised, why it did not it was not made functional. What are the reasons behind it? I think those requires a lot of research too. Thank you, Mr. Bhandari. I wish you had this deliberation at the beginning of this conference so that we could have discussion for the last
Well, I
few
mean,
days.
sorry, as you said, I will save it for the next time, you know.
Sure, of course, of course. Next time we'll just start with your deliberation. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you. So you're very kind.
Thank you, thank you. So I now move to if I'm not sure whether Dr. Surat he's here with us now. Can anyone check? I don't see him here. But in that case, may I move to Dr. Pushpa Sharma? Pushpa, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Ryan. I think it was a very useful, fruitful 3.5-day discussion on the Bay of Bengal region. As what Mr. Bhandari just said, obviously there is a lot that needs to be done because many people have not heard about BIMSTEC. Forget about the cooperation issues within it. But that is, I think, one of the reasons that we have come together. And many, many thanks to Dr. Ryan, Dr. Prabir Day, the two of you especially, for taking this initiative of holding this dialogue, not a one-off event, but also planning to make it a regular kind of a forum for discussion. And I think this is a contribution that we as people in the think tank community, in the research community, especially doing policy research advocacy, can contribute to the BIMSTEC process. And this has also been, as also Dr. Ryan read out in the summary statement, that has been recognized by our political leaders, by our governments. So this is the first one where actually we wanted to discuss about cooperation in the Bay of Bengal region in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. And as I had said in the very beginning, when we opened this dialogue, that this crisis might be an opportunity for cooperation in the Bay of Bengal region to come. So as we discuss some of the issues, we know many things remain. And as Dr. Ryan also said, there are a lot of studies to be done. There are a lot of issues to be thrust out. For example, as we noticed yesterday in the keynote speech, where Professor Raman Suvan said that geopolitics is a big factor. He talked about China, whereas Ambassador Rajiv Bhatia today said that that might not be possible. So, this big thing of geopolitics is also there. As some say that China is one factor, that SARC didn't work, and BIMSTEC will also not work. What are the issues over there? We can't just have statements like that unless we have some rigorous studies. And it's not that whatever we recommend will be taken up by our governments, right? So there are these several things that we have to do, but we have to take this as the beginning. So we have maybe started a process, or let's say a track 2 process. So if we take this along, perhaps we will be able to come up with useful recommendations to provide to our governments to make BIMSTEC work, to make the Bay of Bengal region work. I don't know whether we will have a new name for it or not, as Ambassador Bhatia said, although it's a very good suggestion. But not to have the same fate as of SARC, I think we have to continue this process. So this is a very beginning, I would say. So once again, thank you very much, Dr. Ryan, Dr. Prabir Day, for the initiative. I would also like to thank Mr. Bhandari, Professor Surat, Ambassador Sumit Nakandala, with whom I have met, although virtually after a very long time. Very glad to see you virtually. So we hope we will be able to take on board more organizations in the days ahead as we move ahead and take this process further and make it fruitful. Not only have a dialogue or forum where we talk, but also kind of see that we try to translate some of the discussion we have over here into the policy realm. So with these words, I would like to thank the other colleagues at SANEM as well, who have worked tirelessly for a very long time, I should say this, to make this a very successful. Also colleagues at other institutions. And finally, I'd also like to thank my colleagues at SOTI, who have also done some work in terms of promoting this event, in terms of making this successful. Very slight contribution from our end, but I would like to thank all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Pushpa. I think it was not a slight contribution anyway. So it was a major contribution from all of our partner organizations. So we did it together. And thank you so much for that. May I now move to Ambassador Sumit Nakandala. Ambassador Nakandala, you held the position of the Secretary General of BIMSTEC. And also you are part of this process. And actually you are the chairman of this dialogue for the next 1 year until the next dialogue we have, I hope the early next year. So Ambassador Nakandala, kindly share your views.
Thank you.
Yes, we couldn't hear you. Yes, I think it's okay now. Please go ahead.
Now okay, right. Salim, thank you very much, Mr. Bandari, Prabir, Pushpa. Of course, after long time now, I'm seeing him, and Surat. It was a great pleasure to be associated with this first Bay of Bengal economic dialogue, which, as I said during the first the inaugural session, it was the idea that some of us conceived, but then we could not do that because we believe that this kind of a forum track 2 approach is necessary, and I'm very happy that this finally it has been realized. Now, I think one of the important things to realize is that we have taken some concrete action. This forum, the establishment of the forum, comes out of the directives collectively given by the 7 leaders during their 4th BIMSTEC summit, which was held in Kathmandu in 2018. So we have taken that process forward, and I think there will be difficulties, yes, but then they should continue. My suggestion is that, as Mr. Bandari and Pushpa also said, that we need to expand the participation of institutions. Yes, certainly we need to do that, because since by nature, if it is a track 2 initiatives, I think we should keep open other like-minded institutions to come in and make their contribution. The other important thing, in fact, I have been listening to a number of interventions and the presentation made. A lot of presentations are very rich in content, and there are certain things that we need to take it forward. And then I also agree that summary of the dialogue, we can certainly work, and then 7 institutions, and within 1 or 2 weeks time we will be able to finalize and then submit to the Secretary General of BIMSTEC, as well as respective foreign ministries and the 7 member states. I have one other suggestion. One is that I agree this will be an annual event, yes. I also thought that because I got this idea that the ministerial meeting will be held during the month of April, and the ministerial meeting will decide the dates for the 5th summit. Whether it will be in person or it will be in virtual mode, we don't know. But I have a suggestion to Salim and the others, other partner organizations. We can also, once the dates for the summit is known to us, we can have 1 day brainstorming through virtual mode again, in order to prepare a perspective document, 2-page document, to be considered by the respective leaders. I think that is the way that we need to do. And Thank you very much for considering me as the chair of the BIMSTEC Economic Forum for the next year. And I will be certainly liaising with you with some new ideas and how best we could take the process forward. It is very much so. I mean, see the problem when SARC. I mean, I have been associated with SARC in my initial years of the foreign ministry, and many people were asking, SARC is not moving, and in fact, SARC has achieved certain things. Now, this is true for any regional organization. I mean, look at the evolution of the European Union. It started with the coal and steel community. Why it started as a, why they thought that the coal and steel are important, because that is the important, those are the important ingredients of rebuilding the war devastated Europe. So they came together. The regional cooperation started with that, and then the political cooperation, the finance, and then economic cooperation. I think it takes time. It takes time, and we can't rush. Now look at the ASEAN example. Look at some of the regional integration initiatives in Africa and Latin America. And the other important thing is that when Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru convened the first Asian Relations Conference in 1947, and none of the countries were independent and sovereign, and they started talking about the economic cooperation at that point of time. And the United Nations started economic cooperation. That is why precisely the UN established 5 regional economic commissions. And the UNESCAP is a good example. And they started regional cooperation in terms of 1950s. They started discussing, rightly they identified the transport connectivity, and that is why the Trans-Asian Railway Network and Asian Highway Intergovernmental Agreements came. The deliberations started in 1950, and then it was concluded in 2012. So it took such a long period of time to bring all these governments together. And mind you, the UNESCAP is a great proponent of regional cooperation and promoting regional cooperation since the establishment. That is how, I think yesterday it was reminded by Dr. Ravi Ratnayake. The creation of the Asian Development Bank was a direct product of the Asia Pacific Finance Ministers meeting in 1960s. And that was the recommendation. And in fact, if you pursue some of the Asian Relations Conference documentation, the Development Bank for Asia and the Pacific was discussed even 1947 and thereafter, even the Bandung Conference. So these ideas on regional cooperation and integration goes back to so many years. And then we had the leadership, of course, and then leadership of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and the rest of his colleagues at that point of time. They realized, they know that very well. They knew that the future lies with the regional cooperation and integration for the newly independent countries in Asia, Pacific, and Africa. So it takes time. We need to be very patient. Now, for example, I think Mr. Bandari asked what the Secretariat has done. I think Secretariat has done a number of things. Some of the things are not very visible. Having a Secretariat itself is a great achievement. And when I walked into the Secretariat in 2014, Mr. Bandari, there was not a single scrap of a paper. There's not a single paper. No, there's no single document. So we had to get documents from various sources. We developed the reporting mechanism. We developed a number of things. We did that. But that doesn't mean that that is the end of the story. We need to do a lot of work. And we realize, I mean, the BIMSTEC name is not a household name. But ASEAN is a household name among the 10 member states. It's up to the member states to work with them. SAARC was and SAARC has been a household name in the member states. So basically, I think we have a lot of work to do. We need patience, and more than anything else, I think what we need is a political maturity and the leadership. It's very important. The success of ASEAN and success of European Union are uh, classic examples of the leadership. The leadership is important for any regional organization to succeed and deliver. This is where we are. I think I am very optimistic that BIMSTEC will succeed because historically Bay of Bengal had the most important trading arrangements since 1500 1500 AD. So this will succeed. We need to do a lot of work, and as Prabir said, the situations have changed, geopolitics have changed. So that brings additional difficulty. So that you can't apply Bella Balasa's four-stage integration theory like in 1960s and 50s. No, we can't. Now that is why we need to be innovative. We need to look at the regional cooperation and integration in a different perspective. And COVID-19 has brought a good opportunity for us to look this in a very innovative way. I think these are my submissions. I don't know, Mr. Bandari, whether I have responded to your queries, but we will have time one again and again to exchange our views. But let me thank Dr. Salim, Prabir, Pushpa, and our friend, common friend Surat, for putting all these efforts together for last 3-4 days to set an example. This economy, the Bay of Bengal economic dialogue is an exemplary example of voluntarily coming together to promote regional cooperation and integration. This is the best example. Because there was no enforcement from member states, but we came together voluntarily. So which means that that's the commitment, and that's the commitment. And with that commitment, I think there is each of the participants to this forum remotely, they had a passion. They had a passion towards the Bay of Bengal. The Bay of Bengal has that attraction. I think that's what we need to capitalize, and I hope that you will give me or extend me your full support as the chair of Bay of Bengal Economic Forum 2021 till we meet as an economic forum next year. And I will be contemplating a number of activities to keep dynamism continuing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador Rakandala. I think the kind of optimism you have showed, we all echo, and we all agree with you. The kind that we have to be optimistic, and that's why we have taken this initiative and we tried to make it success. Thank you. I'm just checking whether Dr. Surat is still with us, and if not, I will bring Probit there a bit later. Because we want to hear towards the end his final kind of set of words and kind of summarizing but before that, let's try to get some views from the participants. This is a free time now, open forum. If anyone wants to speak up, please share your views.
Professor Raihan, may I just make a very brief intervention?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. I listened with a lot of attention to Ambassador Sumit's remarks. And I would like to assure him It has never been my intention to undermine your contribution. I made it as an, as an example. I could have referred to another BIMSTEC institution as well. My point is, I fully agree. As a former diplomat, I also fully agree that region cooperation does take time. But in today's world, when everybody's looking for fast results, benefits, I think after some time people get a little tired of it. Oh, SARC again, or BIMSTEC again? What have they done for the people? So it is from that point of view. Perhaps I've been a little more, what shall I say, pessimistic. I know, although I have said SARC, one thing that SARC had done is the SARC Development Fund, which is located in Bhutan, has done some work, useful work, right? I'm not sure about the several SARC institutions that have been established among the SARC countries. I cannot say the same thing about them. So let us make very, very careful decisions when we take them. And once we take those decisions, let us follow them up. That's my view, because I would like to do something and show something as soon as possible. But then, of course, maybe I'm one in the minority, and there are political compulsions, there are political differences, and I have seen them many. So maybe we need to really fine tune where we can make some credible progress and tell the people of BIMSTEC, hey, we've done this. This is our success. Now, let's not leave it entirely to the government process, because that has not worked as well as we would like to see it. So maybe this track two diplomacy or track two initiative is an alternative. And I'm glad to be part of it from the very beginning. And I'm very glad, Ambassador, that you are going to take lead on this. So we hope in few years, we will be able to at least say that we have not joined the same group of other bureaucrats and made some progress. Bureaucrats do have compulsions. They, firstly, I think they don't, there are problems, I think, as it was mentioned this afternoon, there is an inertia in bureaucracy. Political commitments do not translate down, and it just takes time, and how long do we wait? Somebody said that waiting, at the end, I'm going to be dead. So this is the sort of thing that I have in mind, because I have been very passionate about regional cooperation from the very beginning, be it SARC, be it BIMSTEC, be it other areas of the multilateral system. But I think we need to also reflect that if Bhutan is contributing, couple of $100,000 to SARC, to BIMSTEC, what is it going to get in benefit in between?
Yes, Mr. Bhandari,
Thank you.
We all understand the kind of frustration, and probably it's not only frustration, it's also a kind of realization which motivated us to have this dialogue too. And this is a kind of open forum, open dialogue. And there are few sensitive issues actually, which we could not have an open discussion, and it brings a lot of probably several political economy issues, and probably we need to have a forum, open up forum to have those kind of discussion in those areas too. But let's have this beginning, and let's take this agenda forward, the kind of process, what we really try to do with this Bay of Bengal economic dialogue. And I hope that through this process, some of the very critical and sensitive issues, which probably we don't discuss openly, but we need to have very good understanding of this. And the reason I'm saying this, probably maybe those very critical political economy issues are actually the stumbling blocks. And we need to have a very clear understanding of those in the future. I have seen one hand raised. If please identify yourself and make your intervention. I think before Ashraful Hassan, I saw one hand raised. Okay. I'll give the first floor to Ashraful and then Professor Yagama Reddy. Ashraful, if you could really very briefly, if you could make your intervention very briefly. Ashraful, if you want to speak up, you have to unmute your microphone. Or if you can't, you can type the message, in the chat box. May I move to Professor Yagama Reddy? Very briefly, if you could make your intervention, please.
Thank you, Professor Salim, for having given me a little time. I have been time and again sharing my views on this point of regional organizations or regional bodies for that matter. Here again, I wish to draw the attention of the members of the forum who have been instrumental for organizing this dialogue. BIMSTEC or something like is something like OPEC or something like Mercosur, which seem to be somewhat oblique in nature. Instead, as Achyut Bhandari or Ambassador Rajiv Bhatia was mentioning, it should be appropriately named as Bay of Bengal community. Let us not think about the BIMSTEC and other organizations which have been officially floated. But this dialogue has been first of its kind to take stock of the situation, to throw the light on the issues confronting the region. Therefore, let it be rechristened Bay of Bengal Community or Bay of Bengal Forum, so that it would really connote the regional flavor, regional character, regional cooperation, and it would lead towards the right destination, and this forum would deliver the goods. And once again, I am thankful to all the organizers, particularly Sunny, for having been more customer friendly or user friendly in getting connected, in sorting out certain minor doubts that have been time and again crept in our minds. Therefore, let me hope that this kind of dialogue would become a regular feature at least once in a year, so that there would be more purpose served. And this is my simple suggestion. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Reddy, for a very, very useful suggestion. And I fully agree with you that, especially with respect to, having this Bay of Bengal community, and then, and also having a regular dialogue like this. And also, as Ambassador Sumit Nakandala said, we can have some programs even between these two dialogues. Some small events can also happen. Anyone else? I can see, is there any other hand? Please unmute yourself and speak up. This is an open forum. Mr. MS iPhone, please identify yourself. No?
Hello.
Yes.
How are you?
Yes, please.
Dr. Salim.
Yes.
This is Shibli. I am in a pile of snow, as you can see. I just wanted to tell you I enjoyed the 4 days of the session. Unfortunately, from 8 to 9, I'm in the woods enjoying the snow, but I didn't miss a single session. And I would like to thank you all for sharing your thoughts. Hopefully someday I will be joining you personally. Thank you, Salim, and the rest of the panel. Enjoy the snow.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. A bit of excitement you have added towards the end. Thank you so much by showing us this snow. So I don't see any other hand. Then may I now move to Dr. Probir De, who has been very, very instrumental in holding this dialogue, and this 2021 dialogue. So Probir De, over to you. You have heard 3.5 days discussion, and please kindly share your final bit of thoughts.
Thank you, Dr. Raihan, and my co-partners, speakers, participants who are here the very late in the evening. I mean, I will be just giving a quick observations of the discussion and my comments as in the part of valedictory. First of all, I, thank you and your team for an excellent work. I had no idea that you had such a brilliant team, in the back of your office. It is rather, working with you all the time. I'm very grateful for all the initiatives you took. I just said some time back that there is a need for open forum where we can discuss, debate on the Bay of Bengal issues. And what it used to be 20 years back, 10 years back, the challenges are different nowadays. And we have an advantage of technology like Zoom or WebEx or any sort of a video conference. So using that, we can have, interactions, a debate. We can start a journey in that way. And so you agreed, you spoke it to other colleagues from the region, and we all agreed to come forward and under your guidance. So thank you very much, Dr. Raihan. You have made a remarkable achievement, and you have started a journey, and today is the first one. So I'm sure this will move around. Ambassador Sumit Nakandala rightly said that we need to see this kind of program very often, and also others and the speakers from the morning till till the last session. So hopefully we'll be able to meet their request. We'll be able to do more great works. So thank you very much once again for taking the lead and giving us a journey, putting us in a journey. Thank you. In particular, from your team, if I don't say their name, it will be a great mistake on my part. Particularly, Shoaib Ahmed, Israt, Mohtab, Onjon, Professor Bidisa, and Tasifa Tasnim. These are the brilliant people who worked with you and interacted with me very often over, 1 or 2 months of continuous basis. So thank you all, for all the great support. In particular, BIMSTEC Secretary General, the current one from Bhutan, and the former Secretary General who is with us, and he is there, the chair of the forum. They have a link. I just looked at that common message coming out of both of them, and the second Secretary General, Ambassador Saidul Islam, who is now in Bangladesh, ambassador in the US, and the fourth summit declarations all suggested a common a path to us, gave a path to us, which is that leaders in the fourth summit requested for a forum for people-to-people linkages. So we have just fulfilled that, and we have just started that journey in this 8th of February in 2021. So I'm very grateful to you for fulfilling that objective. And in my organization, RIS Director General Professor Sachin Chaturvedi, who was there in the morning session, inaugural session, Chairman Ambassador Mohan Kumar, people in the Ministry of External Affairs, they're very supportive all the time. Yes, it should be. And from an institutional point of view, I should also name of it Dr. Mia Mikic. She is now taken a superannuation from UNESCAP, but very much guiding us through ArtNet. So all these people, they are joint blessings, I would say, which helped us a remarkable progress for this 4 days program. I said remarkable. I should not say this because I am one of the organizers, but I can see there are 17 sessions, over 60 people who have spoke about it. So many people in the online mode. Somebody asked me, that how many people attended your all these programs. I counted the number. It could be more than 500. through social media, different. So this is where I found we have made a remarkable progress in that sense. Among the organizers, when I approached to Achyut, my old-time good friend, I am a learner, and from him, from him, he said, yes, we have to do it. So he came forward, and then who could not attend because of the situation in the Myanmar, Professor Zhou is very much with us, but because of the emerging scenario, last moment he has withdrawn, but he's very much there in all our. So it is, even Myanmar is very much a part of this program. So thank you all the partners, Puspa Sarma, Dr. Puspa Sarma from Swati, who is with us today. Then Professor Surat Horai Chaikul from Thailand, and everyone came forward and selflessly. Another achievement that we haven't taken any money from any organization, anybody, just our sheer interest that it has to be done. And with the help of technology, your full get contact, support of the co-partners, we have just done it. And we can do more, many more, if And I'm sure that Achyut, who is having a new organization, he will take it forward with from here. And some of the issues we discussed openly, and I attended personally in those sessions. That sessions on regional trade and value chain, session on public health management yesterday, session on culture, the last session, the connectivity sessions, and some of the paper presentations, which was chaired by Professor Mahanti in our organizations. Those are brilliant. Some of the papers, I could see there, if we could guide them, they can easily elevate to a very fine journal paper. And as you said, that there will be a journal soon from your organization on Bay of Bengal. I'm sure these publications will encourage young minds to come and contribute to the regions. Last but not the least, what's my personal takeaways? You had a summary, and you said that it's a draft summary. It's rather symbolic, but a detailed summary, session-wise, which will come under your guidance, Ambassador Sumin Nakandala's guidance in coming days for circulation to the wider community, in particular to giving it to BIMSTEC Secretary General partner organization so that it can go up to ministerial and then the summit. That process will take up by Ambassador Nakandala yourself. But if the three takeaways from my side, as a learner, one is that, what Ambassador Rajiv Bhatia said very much, that name matters. There was a editor in the Statesman a long time, and then he became editor of the Telegraph in Calcutta, Sunanda Datta Roy. The name matters. He had an op-ed 20 years back, and I have it, because BIMSTEC somewhere is ambitious, very good, but name matters. So Ambassador Bhatia rightly said that we have come quite far from what it used to be in 1997 when the BIMSTEC was set up. So let's go into the community, and that's very correct. So this is a good takeaway. We'll be working more, to looking at. In RIS, there was a study done by Ambassador Professor Nagesh when he was our Director General, who was moderating one of session, Bay of Bengal Economic Community, some 20 years back, and then so there are some examples. Second point, what Ambassador Bhatia said, and that point also came in what Ambassador Suchintan Gongsak, he mentioned in his keynote, who was the Deputy Permanent Secretary in Thailand, that leaders to meet often. APEC, a great example, that despite differences, leaders never skip any summit. So APEC, the countries where you will find US leader, China. So Ambassador Nakandala, very right, and Ambassador Bhatia, and also Ambassador Suchintan Gongsak, and others, that we need the leaders to meet. Political will is very important when there is a geopolitical challenges more and more, maybe once in 2 years. So that is what point number 2. And point number 3, that we need to do some partnerships. As I'm talking about region, like the yesterday's public health management system. Professor T.C. James, he said the data is not available. I do not know what's happening in Bay of Bengal country. So data management, sharing of data, in Then this another special remarks given by in the same session, Dr. Mustaq, he rightly said from his own experience in GMS that surveillance is very important. There is an best practices. So COVID surveillance, for example, there could be some projects on collaborative research. That point also raised by all the panelists and many other sessions. So some partnerships for which we don't need any much great financial support. Small support to do the research work, lead into an actionable projects. That's Swati, SANEM, CPD, RIS, Asian Conference, Vivekananda Foundation, many other, Chulalongkorn University and many others, Pathfinder and IPS, Colombo, all they know how to implement this. Only thing is that if we give a small direction, this is possible. So I suggest that one takeaway, the last one, is that let's convert this discussion into some actionable project and place it to the government donors to keep some funding so that we can do a regional program, either in capacity building training, some emerging issues. These activate our think tank. After all, this will go and add on the people-to-people contacts. So with that, I end and thank you once again, Professor Salim. This is possible, your guidance, your direction, your leaderships. And we are just, partner with you and giving a big, programs, benefit to all the people in the region. This is open region. There is no politics here. Anybody can come and take the and contribute. So thank you very much. Have a nice day and have a great weekend tomorrow.
Thank you, Dr. Dey, and thank you so much. Your humbleness actually towards the end was really, very touching. But at the same time, the points you raised, throughout your deliberation, these are extremely important. And what we'll do from SANEM, we'll actually continue to provide the kind of secretarial service for this dialogue, until we have a proper kind of secretariat. And also, we'll actually dedicate a part of our website to put all the resources, all these links, all these papers. At the same time, as I mentioned in the draft, it's a very, I would not say zero draft, it's a negative draft, but we'll come up with a more better draft and advanced draft, and we'll share with you to get your feedback. And we are planning to have a Bay of Bengal journal, development journal or economic journal, whatever we phrase, in partnership with all these institutions. At the same time, this is an open forum. We'll invite and we welcome participation of other institutions and other people too from this region. With this note, I must thank each of you. I don't really want to name now because, Dr. Probit, he has done it on behalf of all of us. And thank you so much for that. I close this Bay of Bengal Economic Dialogue officially. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Salim.
Thank you. Thank you.
I will keep